OpenClaw is the best AI technology that we've ever seen, but only if you know how to use it correctly. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to take your OpenClaw from a regular chatbot into a personalized AI assistant that actually does work for you. So this video is for any OpenClaw user, whether you've just installed OpenClaw and it's currently a blank slate and you want to personalize and customize it, or if you're an advanced OpenClaw user and you've been using it since it came out, there are still things in this video of value to everyone using OpenClaw. So stay tuned to find out how to get the best out of your AI system.
Guys, the first thing I want to say when you're doing these setups, you're going to want to always ask your OpenClaw, how do I set this up? Okay, so whether this is APIs, whether this is models, whatever it is, make sure to ask your OpenClaw the best way to carry out this setup. And that will save you time, save you stress and hassle of trying to figure it out yourself. And OpenClaw knows what's best for it to actually work. So guys, keep that in mind when you're actually setting this up. OpenClaw is the best place to actually get answers on how to set up your OpenClaw. It's probably the most important thing about this whole video, okay? Right, so as you can see on the diagram, we have the brain and then we have the different arms that can carry out tasks relying on different models and APIs. If you've set up your OpenClaw, you know that you have to give it a default model that it uses. So this is like the reasoning layer. It understands your instructions, breaks down tasks, does your decision making. It's the personality of your OpenClaw. So you can see I've got Opus 4.6, okay? This is definitely the best model in the world for the brain of your OpenClaw. It's the best at making decisions. It's got the best personality. It handles tasks the best. It delegates these tasks the best. But as we all know, those tokens are not cheap. So if this is a problem for you, you don't want to get the Max or Pro version, I'd recommend using Gemini Flash as a much cheaper alternative and still very good. Or you can use the Pro version of Opus 4.6, which is like $20 a month. And then you have Gemini as the sort of alternative. So if it runs out of those tokens for that 5-hour window, it will use Gemini as the brain for the rest of that until those tokens are back. So that's quite a nice setup as well, and it's fairly cheap. Now let's talk about the different arms I've set up in my OpenClaw. If you want your OpenClaw to carry out any sort of coding or building tasks, you're going to want to use Claude Code or Codex. Now guys, remember, this isn't actually vibe coding, okay? You're not using Claude Code or Codex to build to code. You're using your OpenClaw to use these models to then code. So you're vibing the vibe coding, if that makes sense. So it's actually pretty insane. Claude Code I found is better, but Codex again is cheaper and it's still very, very good. So yeah, if you're using your OpenClaw to build, I'd recommend these two models and it will just go ahead and build whatever you want. Now for research, this can be researching the web. This can be finding trending news, trending topics in like a niche that you tell your OpenClaw. I use the XAI API. So this incorporates Grok and X. I found that X is the best sort of application for trending news. And then I've also given it Brave Search API. So I found that this is actually the best web search API for your OpenClaw, and also the cheapest as well. So you're going to want to set up Brave Search API for any sort of web research related tasks. And again, remember, ask your OpenClaw how to do this setup and it will just walk you through it step by step. Right, now we're going to go to the content arm that I have set up. So first of all, I've got Key AI API. Now, if you don't know what Key AI is, it's essentially a sort of image, video, music, sound generation platform, which has all the best models on the market. So as you can see here, it's got video generation, image, music, chat, and it's got all these models here, okay? And you know, it just goes on and on. So what I've done, okay, I've come over here to API keys, I've gone on create API key, okay? And then I've just given that API key to OpenClaw. So that means that OpenClaw has access to all of these different models, okay? So it can use whichever model that I prompt it to use, which is in Key AI, which is pretty much all of the models you're going to want to use for creating content anyways. So that's really powerful. You want your OpenClaw to be able to create images, videos, sounds. This is the first place you're going to want to do that. And again, the credits are cheap. It's like $5 for 1,000 credits. An image is like 6 to 10 credits. So yeah, and then I've also set up a YouTube API. To do that, you have to come to here, console.cloud.google. And again, you're going to ask your OpenClaw, how do I set this up, this YouTube API? Okay, what this API does, it gives your OpenClaw access to the whole of YouTube. So if you want to find out, what videos can I watch for this, who's posting content about this, you can ask it any of those sorts of questions. And you can also use the YouTube API for your own YouTube content as well. So it will track your posts, your analytics, things like that. And this isn't just for YouTube as well. There are different APIs. For example, the TikTok API, XAI API. You can give OpenClaw that API key for the platform you create content, and it will go ahead and actually track your posts and analytics, which I find really helpful. Now we move on to the data arm. So the setup for connecting your OpenClaw to different Google apps like Google Sheets, Google Drive, Google Docs, etc. It's a very similar setup to the YouTube API. Create a project here, and then you're going to go to enabled APIs and services for that project. And then, for example, you're just going to search Google Sheet API like this. And you can see I've got the API enabled, but there'll be an enable button here for your project. And then you're going to give ClaudeBot whatever details about that project it needs to be able to access that Google Sheet. And then it will be able to just write things in your Google Sheet. So say, for example, you have your ClaudeBot carrying out research for you. You can say, I want you to input this research into my Google Sheet, okay, in a structured manner or in a Google Doc. And it will do that. You can automate a lot of work by doing this setup. And then I've also given ClaudeBot access to some football APIs. So this is more for a bit of fun. This is API football. And then I've also given it this odds API here, which has data on different sort of odds from different bookmakers, etc. So why have I done this? Well, I've actually got my OpenClaw to make me some bets. So what I'll say to it is use the football API to find out what games are on tonight, and all the necessary data within those different teams that are playing each other, like the head-to-head stats, the recent form stats, things like that, and then use the odds API to make me a bet, which is like good value for the odds. And I've actually placed like 2 or 3 bets so far, maybe like £5 on each one at ridiculous odds, like thousands to 1. And it's been fairly close. These are like 10-15 leg accas, and it's been like a few legs off. So it is a bit of fun, but it's also like insane how accurate it's getting just from these free football and odds APIs. So yeah, if this is something you're into, definitely give this a go, and yeah, you'll see for yourselves that it's actually pretty sick. And then finally, I have the vision arm here. So here I'm using Gemini for image analysis. So when you give your OpenClaw an image, ask it to analyze that image. I found that Gemini is the best model for actually doing that task, and the cheapest as well. So yeah, definitely set that up. So guys, that's more or less it for my APIs and models that I've hooked up to my OpenClaw so far. And it's super important that you set this up yourselves, guys, because you don't want one model doing all these tasks. Okay, it's going to be more expensive if you're using a more expensive model, and it's going to be less accurate because you can really niche down what model or API you want to use for each individual task. So it's really powerful. You're going to want to set up your own APIs. Obviously, you don't have to follow this structure, but this is just an idea to help you guys set up your OpenClaw with your own models and APIs.
Right. So now that you've seen the setup, there's one final thing I want to show you guys. So if you're wondering where is all this information stored, you've given it your APIs, your models, whatever, and you want to see how to actually, and you want to see where all that information is, you're going to come to your gateway, which is on the computer where you've set up your OpenClaw. You're going to click on agents here. And then you can see all these different files. These are the files your Claudebot uses to actually operate, okay? So in this tools.md file, this is where it stores all your information. So you can see my Google Sheets API, the football betting bot APIs, the YouTube API, the Google custom search, the key AI API. And then at the bottom it says what goes here. It's your API keys, webhooks, all these different things, okay? So keep that in mind if you're trying to find out where this information is actually stored. So that's it for this video, everyone. Keep in mind that if you don't do this diversification for your OpenClaw, you'll be lacking personalization for your wants and needs. It won't be as accurate, as customized, and you just simply won't be getting the most out of your OpenClaw that you could be getting. So thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know in the comments what different setups you've used. I'd be very interested to find out. So thanks, everyone. See you in the next one.